UCLA trying for revenge against USC, who beat them on Poly Pavilion earlier this year. That one is coming up right after we're done here. Fowler.
And a 14-day layoff before the ACC tournament starts. So the Brooms out in Tallahassee. USC fans trying to get out the Brooms and sweep the Bruins tonight. That game has just tipped off. UCLA a 7-4 lead in the early going. They played just a minute and 40. But after this, we'll get you out there. Barry Tompkins and Dan Bonner are standing by with the first half call. UCLA USC, you don't have to pay a thing. We're set to join Barry Tompkins and Dan Bonner. About 3 minutes into the ball game, UCLA with a slim lead.
We welcome you to the sports arena. Those of you who have been watching the Florida State-North Carolina game, UCLA leads USC 9-6. Been an up-tempo game. Crowd on its feet almost to the number here at the sports arena. Unprecedented, Dan.
Well, this is really something. They sold more student tickets than they ever have for a USC home basketball game. And the students, at least, have been standing the entire game. They haven't taken a seat once.
And when I say we haven't seen this here at the sports arena in years and years and years, that covers some pretty good basketball teams. Not that USC has been down. They won the conference under Stan Morrison not that many years ago, and still the fans didn't turn out. But there's something about this George Raveling team that has really lit a fire under the fans here.
They certainly seem to be a team that's reflective of that man's personality. Sanders at the free throw line after the foul. Not a real good free throw shooter, only 62%.
Play by Boyd to keep it alive for Minor. And Harold Minor with 4 garbage points so far in the game.
UCLA is being out-scrapped early, Barry.
That's exactly what happened at Pauley Pavilion. There is a leaner by McClain. UCLA wants to get the ball in the hands of McClain and Murray. That's Boyd. I think UCLA will give him that shot.
I think so. That did not look very good.
Murray for 3, his second.
That's where he's most dangerous with those threes in the transition game. You've got to find Murray. He's now got 8 points. You've got to find him in transition and match him immediately.
Realize how many potential #1 draft choices we're watching in this game? Cooper can't get it to go. USC all over the boards. Glenn picks up the loose ball. It's too long. They'll have a third try from Minor. Looks down low nicely to Boyd, and he's hammered.
We've talked about Murray's 3-point shots. There's another example. USC getting the basketball inside. This time off the rebound. The great pass. Nobody paying any attention to Boyd, and there you get the foul. As Boyd goes very strongly to the basket.
Boy, has this been an intense game so far. So Boyd will go to the free throw line. Boyd just a 61% free throw shooter, but he gets that one.
USC leading the Pac-10 in 3-point field goals made. UCLA has the best 3-point field goal percentage, but USC's got the most threes made. They've missed a couple today.
Boyd gets them both. 15:57 left first half. And UCLA leads USC by 4. We'll be back. You know, Jim Herrick is in his finest season as UCLA basketball coach, but when he spoke with Dan Bonner a little bit earlier, he remembers the USC loss distinctly.
Dan, you never forget a loss, I'm going to tell you that. So all the things that happened to us last game, we'll try to counter with our, make a change, adjust to what they did to us last time. But basically, we just got to play a little bit better. We had a horrible game, and they were terrific. And you got to come out and contain Minor and Cooper and Sanders and rebound the ball and get back on defense. You expect to win.
Matkins missed the 3-point shot, but a second try. The pass from Murray to Tarver underneath for the basket.
USC had done a pretty good job on the boards prior to that time, but Cooper, as secured the ball, was falling down, lost it.
That was the second offensive rebound in the game for UCLA. USC has 4. Harold Minor is going to get his shots. How about that shot?
That was not a very good shot. Matkins in pretty good position.
Any other coach in America would say, are you kidding? But Minor can stick those. And so could Gerald Matkins stick that 3. And one of the big problems for UCLA in their loss over the weekend in Notre Dame was they simply could not make a three-point shot. They were 3 of 14, I believe. Tonight, they've already had 3.
They're doing a nice job defensively keeping the ball away from Minor in scoring position. Madkins that time gets a foul pushing Glenn. Madkins a very intense defensive player, Barry, and I think that one of the risks that UCLA takes is if he gets in foul trouble, they really don't have anybody with the same kind of defensive skills as Madkins to match up against Harold Minor. So Madkins really has his work cut out for him. He has to play good defense without fouling.
And what Madkins is trying to do tonight, unlike the last game, he wants to front, as you can see what he's doing right now, he wants to front Minor, just deny him the ball, because if Minor gets the ball, as he did right there, that is what's going to happen.
Madkins didn't block him out. Minor goes for the offensive rebound, and Madkins was out beyond the three-point line, standing and watching. Your defense doesn't stop until you get the ball.
Minor has 6 points, and they've all been on second chances. Down low to Murray. Nice look that time by Mitchell Butler. And he's fouled and will go to the line.
Murray did a tremendous job getting position inside, but all that work by a big guy inside is meaningless unless your guards can swing the ball around the defense and get you the ball when you're open, and UCLA did a great job.
That's a dimension of Murray that we have not seen before this year. He was strictly a perimeter player and a wonderful perimeter player, but now at 6'8", he could post you up. So you got a real defensive problem.
Particularly a team like Southern California that simply does not have any big guys inside. Yaman Sanders at 6'8" is as big as they go. Boyd at 6'6". The next tallest guy is Harold Minor. He's 6'4" or 6'5", so USC very small.
Murray with 9 points, and that should be interference, but it's not. They say it was not on the rim. That was awfully close. That incidentally was USC's first foul of the game. That's Minor, couldn't get it to go. There's another second chance at a third try, and that misses. USC flying the offensive boards. 7 offensive rebounds. Butler for 3. And I think USC would give Mitchell Butler that shot too. Not a great three-point shooter.
I think USC needs to take the ball inside some, Barry. They had success early in the game. You don't want to, by making a couple of three-pointers, get away from your game plan, which is to go inside.
Yaman Sanders blocked that time by McClain. McClain giving Sanders a lot more respect this time than he did in the first meeting. Sanders made McClain pay.
McClain noted for his offensive, not for his defensive skills, and Sanders certainly had a big game. This time, however, Sanders turning. It's actually Tracy Murray who gets a hand on the basketball. McClain gets the rebound. McClain has been matched up defensively against Boyd, and it's been Murray who's been handling the assignment on Sanders early in the game. Here's O'Bannon in the ballgame.
And Derek Martin also in the ballgame for UCLA. Rodney Chapman in the ballgame for George Roundling's Trojans. That's McClain out front. It won't go, and a foul underneath on a rebound. They're going to get Sanders. That is something that UCLA wanted to do. They wanted to try to get Sanders and Boyd, who are prone on occasion to get in foul trouble, to commit.
And that foul's called against Boyd, and that's his second personal foul. You look at the stat sheet for USC, and far and away the most fouls are Sanders and Boyd.
Cooper steps in front, 2-on-2. Cooper the opportunity, 3. And that brings the crowd back into it.
Both these teams like to play in transition, Barry, and you just got to find those three-point shooters and get a hand up.
Here's McClain again. And he's not going to miss a lot of those at the free throw line.
No, that's his range there. Nice job by his Bruin teammates. Really created a lot of congestion inside, and Lorenzo Orr in the ballgame for USC could not get out and cover up that shot. Tough matchup for Murray. Man-to-man defense by the Bruins.
3-guard offense for George Raveling. He'll play that most of the game. And that is Chapman. It is a game of three-point shots right now. Here's another one. Murray. Murray with 12. 4 threes so far.
George Raveling went out on the court almost to the three-point line, yelling at Boyd. Once again, Murray all alone for that three.
Well, if Murray faces up, he's going to get more than his share.
He's certainly got to get out and get a hand up on it.
What a nice stroke he has there, doesn't he?
Really is a good-looking shot. That fouls on Martin.
A timeout on the floor, 11:43 remaining. It's been an offensive contest. UCLA leads it by 7. Hard to believe, but championship week is almost upon us here at ESPN. No less than 33 games, 24 conference finals, and that longest week in college basketball begins March 7th. I can't believe it's over already.
It's not the longest week in college basketball. It's the shortest. There's so much going on. You wish it could last a whole lot longer than a week.
Talked about the fact it's been a three-point field goal shooting contest. UCLA doing it a little bit better than SC right now.
SC's hit their last 2 three-point goals, though. They've looked better on the shots. They're getting better shots against this Bruin defense.
Interestingly enough, this man has only had that's only his second shot from the perimeter. And it wasn't an easy shot. Chapman gets it back there, and second chances are keeping SC in it.
Concentrating so much on Harold Miner, it's almost like when he shoots the ball, everybody stands, at least on the Bruins, and watches him. Everybody from the Trojan team goes to the board. 8 offensive rebounds for the Southern California Trojans.
Murray with another shot. He won't go on a rebound down to Sanders. Chapman again for 3. And Matkins clears.
These teams can really get up and down.
Much more of a transition game, actually, than I thought it would be, to tell you the truth.
USC, of course, playing that 3-guard offense. Much more room for Miner to maneuver in a transition game.
That's Derek Martin for 3.
That's 5 3-point baskets for UCLA.
What a contrast to their game at Notre Dame. They couldn't find the basket from three-point range.
Matkins really working hard against Miner. He forced that pass.
Excellent defensive player, Gerald Matkins. And they'll give Miner that shot. The problem is, Miner will make it.
Matkins was in pretty good defensive position, but Miner, wow.
You know, here's a case of Matkins, it looks to me at least, is doing everything he can defensively against Harold Miner, and Miner's got 9 points. It's a 4-on-2.
Now, Matkins just picked up his second foul, and interestingly enough, Barron, he has not fouled Harold Miner yet. He's picked up his fouls against other guys. USC really getting out in transition. Chapman doing a great job getting the rebound, turning, and headed down the court. And there's Matkins. He's actually trying to get out of the way. When you commit a foul, you like to get your money's worth. And Matkins, that was an accidental foul. You never want to commit an accidental foul.
So they will give up a lot defensively with Gerald Matkins sitting on the bench.
But he's done a tremendous job sticking close to Harold Miner. But as you said, Miner's got 9 points anyhow.
Well,
so
you know,
how much worse can it get?
I love what they say about Harold Miner, and he says it himself. George Raveling was telling us earlier, the guys on this team, they'll have three-point shooting contests all the time, and Harold Miner won't play in the three-point shooting contests. And when the kids ask him why, he said, because I'm a scorer, not a shooter. And he is.
You got to be able to shoot it a little bit to score.
Well, he's a guy who's going to get his shots. He virtually has an unguardable shot because he takes that fall away even from three-point range. Not a high percentage shooter.
There's Sanders going to the free throw line again. He missed his first 2, made those. You get the idea that he might go to the line a bit. Now here's USC changing it up a little bit with some half-court defense. Little 2-1-2.
O'Bannon trying to look low to Zimmerman, and stepping in front nicely was Chapman. Boy, is he giving Raveling some good minutes. Pulls up for the 3, wide open, won't go. Sanders tried to save it, knocked it out of bounds to UCLA.
He didn't get that, Barry, but that's the kind of hustle that has typified really both teams in this game, but particularly USC. They're really getting after the basketball.
And that's exactly how they won the first game at Pauley Pavilion, by the admission of the UCLA coaches. They just out-hustled it.
USC in more of a man-to-man defense right now. They actually are changing on the fly here. George Rattling, you can see him in the back of your picture there at the top of your screen, doing a lot of direction as the play goes on. McLean's going to get fouled and score.
Boy, was that a tough shot. Take another look at this one, Dan.
One of McLean's best moves when he gets the ball there, you really have to try to force him to the baseline, because from that position on that side of the court, he likes to take the one dribble, maybe two, get it inside. Here you go. There's 1, 2 dribbles, and now he turns and he shoots the basketball. That's 2 off-balance shot of exactly that type that he's made. If you're USC, when McLean's on that side of the court, you want to force him to go to the baseline. He's just too strong going into the middle with that right hand.
I just really believe that this is a guy that will score at any level of basketball that he plays.
You were talking about Harold Miner being a scorer, and certainly he is. This guy's another guy.
He's a
may not
shooter
look
also.
pretty all the time doing it.
Very quick release. And another thing about McLean that I like is he plays big in the biggest games.
Has a history of not really playing very well here. He's a 20-point scorer on average for his career. Before that career, he's only averaged about 11 points in this arena.
Lazy pass from Chapman, but a great recovery by Orr. Still a loose ball. Tarver gets it to Martin. Martin thought he was going to have company and didn't. Might have overpassed it. And now McLean has it. And the Bruins get it back off the save from Miner. And Martin still can't get it. Finally, the Trojans control it. 3-on-2. How about that reversal by Miner and a follow away? Big time play. Look at George.
His glasses fell out of his pocket.
McLean a second chance. Physical ball game. Great players playing great basketball right now.
With the crowd at a fever pitch, with George Raveling jumping up and down, Boyd knocks the ball away from McLean. Martin gets it inside, somehow gets it up on the board. McLean doing a great job. He could have stood out in the corner and watched, but instead he gets himself to the hoop. Now you talk about a big-time play right there. Freezes the defense with that between-the-legs dribble. Exactly the shot that you're talking about, Barry. A fall back and to the side. You cannot stop that.
That is just an amazing sequence. Oh my. Murray, the no-look pass. That was the problem. 7:57 remaining first half. UCLA 31, USC 27. High intensity at the Sports Arena. UCLA leads it by 4, 7:57 remaining first half. Barry Tompkins with Dan Bonner. We're at the Sports Arena in Los Angeles. UCLA shooting at 55%, and that includes 5 threes.
Well, that's why UCLA is winning this basketball game, because USC has out-rebounded them 15-7. Harold Miner has 5 field goals in the game, and 3 of them are off offensive rebounds. So UCLA shooting the ball very well, particularly from three-point range, and that's why they're ahead in the game. Miner out of the basketball game for what I'm certain will be a brief rest.
The jumper this time by Sanders won't go, but another foul. Take a look at the scoring leaders in the Pac-10 Conference this year, and we're looking at 3 of them right here. Harold Miner, 27 and change. Murray, 21 points just about. McLean at 20.5 points a game. Surrounding another very good player, Adam Keefe of Stanford. A lot of talent in the Pac-10 Conference this year.
A lot of talent, a lot of good teams in the Pac-10. Miner did get a very brief rest. He's going back in the ball game. Sanders has been very aggressive on the offensive end inside, Barry, and USC has been able to get him the ball. He hasn't scored a field goal. Well, he did have 1 dunk, but off an offensive rebound, but out of the offense, he doesn't have any field goals, but he has picked up a couple of fouls. He could really help his team by making these free throws.
Well, you said Harold Miner would get a brief blow. 17 seconds.
Interestingly enough, in the USC victory in the first ball game, he only played 26 minutes because he was in foul trouble. Back to that zone defense.
Mitchell Butler. And again, as we said, USC be very content to let Mitchell Butler shoot it from the perimeter and try to beat it. Glenn for three. And we are tied at 31. UCLA had a 9-point lead in this game. Tarver tried to get penetration and traveled. And USC with a chance to take its first lead.
UCLA is not being very patient on the offensive end of the court, Barry. The game is a transition game, but once you get it across half court, you need to have some patience. I think UCLA, with the size advantage, if they would have some more patience on the offensive end, they would be able to get it inside, but they're really trying to get to quick shots, and if it's not available in transition, you've got to move a little more slowly.
Behind the screen, that's Cooper. And a second try again. But this time it's controlled by UCLA.
Ward just couldn't hang on to it.
Right, got a hand on it nicely, though. Good position again on the offensive boards. McClain the penetration, and the leader won't go. Murray gets it back. He tries it. Count the basket, and he'll go to the line.
You know, Barry, I talked about McClain and how McClain would penetrate toward the middle from the opposite side. Well, even from this side of the basketball court, the near side of the court, he puts it on the deck. He likes to go to the middle. You have to stop that play. Murray with the offensive rebound and the lean in, and there is Sanders with a personal foul. This game doesn't mean very much, does it?
No. So Murray will go to the free throw line with a chance for his 15th point. There's still 6 minutes and 25 seconds to go in a half. Boy, I tell you, the big-time players have played big time so far.
That's his fourth three-point play. That one's one of the old-fashioned kind.
Murray got a hand on that, knocked it out of bounds.
Glenn saw Harold Miner all alone inside, and with the pressure UCLA's been applying, you could just see his eyes grow wide. However, maybe he should have tried a bounce pass under Tracy Murray.
And that is Boyd getting into the lane and floats it over McClain.
Boy, nice catch. But then he lost it out of bounds. McClain did a great job getting position. Caught the ball momentarily, but then couldn't control it.
So once again, SC with a chance to take the lead. Glenn got in the air, had nothing to do with it. Here come the Bruins. Tyus Edney, the freshman.
Bill Glenn knocked it away from Tracy Murray.
5 unforced turnovers now for the Bruins.
Look at USC get back on defense in the transition. They get 4 guys back immediately. Then a tremendous play by Glenn to knock the ball away from Murray. Great transition defense.
Miner one-on-one again. Pulls up. Won't go. And it comes down to Matkins. Matkins really is doing everything he can against Harold Miner. And Miner is still getting his points. Murray. And Miner the rebound. Cooper the outlet.
Great job by Boyd to get out and cover that shot.
Cooper jump stop all the way to the basket. Spins it in. First time USC has had the lead in this game. Murray will have a second chance. Too hard off the glass. Butler follows, won't go. And Orr clears. Tyus Edney will get the foul, jumping in on Boyd. Watch Cooper on the offensive end.
Cooper is a kid who has averaged almost 17 points a game in USC's wins against top-ranked teams. This is just a tremendous move. Edney's got to stop the ball. The thing coaches tell you on the fast break is somebody stop the ball. He was 2 on 3, but nobody stopped him. What a great play
Interesting thing about Dwayne Cooper, I was asking George Raveling about Cooper and what made the big change. I mean, he was a nice player last year, but he has gone up in quantum leaps this year. He said, well, he saw what happened to Robert Pack, a guy who was undrafted and wound up not only making the Portland Trailblazers, but getting significant minutes. He said, hey, if Robert Pack can do it, I can do it too. I played alongside him all year last year, and he has really elevated his game this year.
And that's certainly one of the big reasons why USC's having the year that they've been having. Boy, Murray passed up the shot. I don't think he should have passed on. Why would a 6'8" guy throw it to a 6-foot guy inside?
That time Atkins trying to force it in. Here comes Cooper again, trying to give it up on the wing this time to Chapman. Chapman ran it down.
Edney did a nice defensive job. Stopped Cooper with the ball that time.
Quickness of the USC guards was really hurting the Bruins. Minor with a size advantage on Edney. Minor has 13. And USC...
Oh, what a play by Minor!
Big time play by Minor on the defensive end. Cooper at the offensive end for three. Did he finish it? All set up by Minor on the defensive end after making a difficult basket on the offensive end.
Straight man-to-man for Southern California. Orr gets the foul. And Cooper is asking for a rest. George Raveling doesn't see him, but Cooper is asking to come out. USC has played with incredible intensity in this basketball game.
And they are on a 30-15 run. USC leads it by 6, 40-34. USC on a big run, 9-love over the last 2:24, and what a sequence a moment ago.
Some incredible intensity. Harold Minor getting back on defense. This is after he made a big play on the other end of the court, tips it away. Chapman gets the fast break started. That's nearly an NBA three-point shot that Cooper just drills. The intensity on both ends has really been impressive, and this crowd is going to desperately need halftime saying a rest.
McClain had a triple and missed it. And right now this game belongs to USC. It is Ankrum who had the rebound in the ball game now for George Raveling.
UCLA has missed some opportunities close to the basket.
Minor the fall away again, in and out. Second try once again. Ankrum with the rebound. Count that one as Hackett puts it down. Dwayne Hackett.
UCLA is getting beaten to death on the offensive boards.
Well, we talked about the quickness of the guards, and it's showing itself on the defensive end for USC.
UCLA's guards only have 6 field goal attempts. You'd expect Murray and McClain to shoot most of the time, but 6 field goal attempts is really amazing. Here's this Minor play, the jump shot, and again, everybody's sort of watching Minor. The long rebound, Ankrum gets it. Another long shot, that time by Hackett. That's his first time in the game. Dwayne Hackett fills it up from a long way away. This is the kind of game, if you're on the bench, you desperately want to get in.
It's a gut check time now for UCLA because they are being soundly beaten.
Boy, really giving McClain all he wants.
McClain rushed the shot, but Murray is there for the follow.
Hackett didn't block him out. There's that size advantage of UCLA working on that particular occasion. Hackett just couldn't keep him away.
USC really pushing it at the offensive end. Hackett again, a little fall away of his own. Chapman runs the rebound down. Gets it down low to Minor for the reverse stick.
Wow. Boy, is he fun.
Not only doing it, but doing it with a flourish tonight.
Man-to-man defense for SC.
Minor let Murray go that time, and Murray made him pay.
George Raveling really not getting the kind of help defense in the man-to-man that he'd like to have. Murray just should not be able to take it down the lane.
Murray has 19. Chapman. And another three.
It was UCLA early with the threes, but it's been SC of late.
Biggest lead. McClain rushed the shot once again, and you pointed that out earlier. UCLA just not playing in any kind of rhythm at all right now.
Murray's going to pick up that foul. And interestingly enough, when they have shown a little patience, Murray and McLean both have shown the ability to penetrate inside that SC defense.
A reminder that coming up at halftime, Chris Fowler, Billy Raftery, the Metro Showdown, Louisville and Tulane, number 15, and of course we'll have our hidden gem.
That's Bill Raftery, isn't it?
That is Bill Raftery. He is the hidden gem, right? Boy, McLean really running in some hard luck right at the moment.
He's missed 5 in a row.
And he really doesn't seem to be in a shooting rhythm right now either. Again, a second chance. Even off free throws. Cooper looks to the bench. George Raveling holding up a play.
He's probably holding up a sign like the kids across the way are holding up, says 3.
Yeah, I think it probably is.
A minute left to go in the first half, and it's been a great first half of basketball.
USC's quickness may be the biggest difference in the game, both on the offensive boards and certainly in the backcourt.
15 seconds on the shot clock. Here's who we're trying to find.
Yeah, I think that's what the sign said. Harold, fall away from the corner.
That's a tough shot.
That is a tough shot.
That's great defense by Butler, who's all alone running down the court.
They'll play for the last shot. They'll try to get this thing down to single figures at least at the half.
George Raveling backs his defense up.
UCLA generally has tried to penetrate with Martin in a situation like this. Let's see if they do that this time. Martin with the ball. Comes around the Butler screen. There's the penetration. Gave it up that time. And Matkins now can't find any place to go. And Martin pulls up and sticks it. A 3 at the buzzer. Not quite the way they drew it up.
Oh, it's exactly the way they drew it up, Barry. Are you kidding me?
Martin gets a 3.
Martin with the penetration was actually looking for McLean or Murray. This is the end of the play. Some real good defense by USC, very nearly coming up with the basketball. Martin nearly out of bounds, getting it to go.
So we come to halftime of what has been just a wonderful basketball game so far. The home team, USC, leads it 48-41. Back to the studio and Chris Fowler.
All right, Barry, unheard of atmosphere in the sports arena, watching as the Trojans, going for the sweep, have a 7-point lead. We'll say for some highlights.
Ooh, I'm ready.
Florida State going for the sweep of Carolina tonight after beating them by 12 earlier. Yes, the Brooms were out in Tallahassee, a sellout. But Hubert Davis had other ideas. He was absolutely unconscious in the first half. 6 threes, and he had 23 points. But the second half, Seminoles get a lift from a freshman, Bob Sura.
How about the confidence of this kid? The air of an upperclassman. Runs the floor, sees it, and can finish with a kiss.
Sura out of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, which is where Pat Kennedy went to college right there, helps the Seminoles to a sweep. Now they have 14 days off before the ACC tournament. Elsewhere in the conference, Wake Forest and Georgia Tech. First half, the big fella Rodney Rogers gets it on the break, Bill.
Send it in, Rodney.
And he does. Then off the Wake Forest miss, Travis Best feeds up court. The Jackets are running. John Barry gets it. To Hill for the flush right there. We're tied at 36 at halftime. The second half is underway now, and the Jackets have pulled away. They have a 12-point lead over Wake Forest midway in the second half. Tulane and Louisville. Tulane going for their first ever sweep of the Cardinals. Playing at home, the Posse. Would they get it going? Well, the Cardinals dominated in the first half. James Brewer nails the 3. Louisville 64% in the first half. About a high percentage shot like this. And Dwayne Morton, cherry picking ahead of the field.
And all alone, you can't leave him. Everett Sullivan, unfortunately.
And Tulane falling asleep for David Whitmore, just leaving Sullivan right there.
Yeah. Not paying
right
attention
now,
to business.
73-63, 3:50 to go. The Posse may have to wait for their first 20-win season in a long time. Marquette and Cincinnati in the Metro Conference. Marquette, the turnover here, and Anthony Buford will convert. Bob Huggins sitting this game out with the suspension, watches his team to the lead here. But double team, the storied defense, Cincinnati.
Huggins not there, but typical Cincy defense all over you.
Then Nick Van Exel with Cincy up 2, buries the three-pointer. Huggins watching from the skybox. Boomer Esiason and Pete Rose. Cincinnati heroes also on hand as the Bearcats, ranked number 19, go on for the 70-59 victory over Marquette. pretty good conference.
Think Huggins was on the phone?
Yeah, he might have been. I don't know if that's legal.
No George Steinbrenner out there.
All right, we're going to come back with more at halftime. Our hidden gem to tell you about the unknown player, although not that unknown to Philadelphia fans. We'll expose him to the rest of the country after this. As you were in your career right there.
Well, in the tradition of Gola, Cannon, and the like,
Yes.
and even Raftery. A great score. We see the numbers here. An excellent deep shooter, the ability to shoot the threes, and what I like most, he doesn't have a conscience.
Randy Woods,
no, I said
folks.
Randy Woods.
Okay.
Folks could read it. But we had some pumpers when I was in school, Chorus, Flavin, and even Raftery. But he can light it up, and as you noted, people in Philadelphia do know him, but nationally he's not as well known. What a great threat, and they could do some damage in the NCAA play.
6 feet tall. He's got the NBA range in his three-pointer. Pretty good defensive player, erratic ball handler. What's the bottom line? Is he an NBA player?
He's going to have to play point guard. That's the big adjustment for him.
And he wanted to play point this year, but it really hadn't happened.
But you got to win. I mean,
if all these gems make the NBA, they better expand. I'll tell you. All right, we're going to take a look at some more scores from this evening in college basketball. 3 times between the legs, pops the jumper, and it's the Trojans over the Bruins right now after 20.
Brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a life. And by Pennzoil, the motor oil that outperforms any leading motor oil against viscosity breakdown.
BYU triumphed their 19th win on a split of the series with Hawaii this year, leading by 8 points at halftime. UTEP, Don Haskins closing in on career win number 600. They have a 6-point lead at Wyoming. New Mexico's been playing well, but Colorado State a 5-point lead at home at halftime in that one. Louisville has beaten Tulane 87-72. No sweep for Tulane and no 20-win season yet. And in the ACC, Georgia Tech pulling away from Wake Forest 66-51. 6:50 to go in that ball game. Great second half ahead. UCLA down by 7. Let's go back to Barry and Dan at the LA Sports Arena.
All right, thanks very much, Chris. Well, it's interesting, Dan, that Chris talked about the fact that crowd here has been so much a factor. I'll tell you, we talked about this a little earlier, but I've been doing games down here for probably 20 years or so. I have never heard the crowd like this. There have been times where the loudest sound in my ear was the squeaking of the shoes.
This has been a great crowd, but the crowd doesn't get into the game unless you have some superior performances by the people on the court, and we've certainly seen some great performances this evening.
So how do you like Harold Miner?
I like Harold Miner a lot. I don't know how anybody could not like Harold Miner. Harold Miner has 15 points in the first half, and he's got 5 offensive rebounds, 11 offensive rebounds total for USC. Here you can see Chapman hustling after the basketball. How can you not like a play like this? That's the only shot that he really had available to him, and he's got the ability to do it. For UCLA, Tracy Murray had a big first half, 19 points, and when he spots up for that 3-point shot and he gets a chance to get himself collected, he rarely, if ever, misses.
Take a look at the numbers in the first half. Both teams shooting it reasonably well. The rebounds, the edge, really, especially on the offensive end, is to USC. And they're also taking care of the ball. They are quicking UCLA. And one other significant factor, McClain did not score in the last 10 minutes of the first half. They have to have him be more of an offensive contributor. And SC starts off the second half just as they left off the first. Gaiman Sanders. UCLA was not patient in the first half. McClain, as you mentioned, is 3 of 11. Murray draws a crowd and still banks it in.
Murray has been the guy who's gotten it done for UCLA. Nice job by the Bruins that time. They didn't really hurry on the offensive end.
Miner was looking for the backdoor alley-oop that time, but Glenn didn't see it.
Mitchell Butler matched up against Gaiman Sanders. That's a foul.
Miner got in the air.
Interestingly enough, Miner, you talk about his prospects as an NBA player, and they are certainly wonderful, but he'll learn that when he gets hit on the arm, he's got to let it go. They're going to call that a pass, and I think that's fair. You can't say he was shooting the ball on that particular occasion because he threw it to the floor.
He said he was shooting it, but it fell on deaf ears.
Murray on a switch now matched up against Miner. UCLA will switch any chance they get.
Got a foul underneath there. Going to go against Mitchell Butler.
We talked about Butler being matched up inside against Sanders. Butler, while he is a tremendous athlete and a tremendous jumper, only 6'5". Sanders at 6'8" or 9" has a substantial advantage in there.
Interesting story. Mitchell Butler came out of a high school with just 400 people. The coach of the basketball team was a woman. He's a 3/8 student at UCLA. He's going to do just fine. Thank you very much.
Butler, coming out of high school, came out at the same time as Tracy Murray and Harold Miner, all from this area. Butler, interestingly enough, was considered to be the best of the 3 players.
With a look down low to McClain, and McClain is now 3 for 12 and missed that one badly. It'll be out of bounds to the Trojans.
One thing that USC has done a very good job of is making McClain play with his back to the basket. You get the idea that McClain is just much more comfortable playing facing the basket, and he has not had that much opportunity to do so tonight.
Troy Dravlin giving some advice to Cooper as he brings it across the timeline. Cooper started to step in, give it up to Glenn for 3. And Miner with a tremendous rebound. Got up over a leaper, Mitchell Butler. Miner, the fall away from the baseline, won't go. That was a tough shot. And he gets it back. When it's going right for you, it's all going right. And a three-pointer by Cooper, who wants a foul and probably has a pretty good argument.
He shouldn't get greedy. They were lucky to get that ball back.
You know, we talked about how good Harold Miner is playing. Tarver in and out with that shot. Miner fighting for the rebound. Not only is he scoring, but look at him on the offensive boards, Dan.
He's got 7 offensive rebounds now, and obviously you've got to be concerned about his ability to shoot the basketball, but you've got to block him out. Jim Herrick very upset with the officiating. I think he feels like down here on this end, USC was on the back.
Actually, I thought Mitchell Butler did everything he could to block him out on that last offensive rebound. He just went up and took it.
Get a foul inside against Sanders, battling against McClain. 3 now on Sanders. Now Lorenzo Orr came in and did a very, very nice job in the first half, replacing both Boyd and then alternately Sanders.
Murray posting up, a little running hook, won't go. Miner clears again. 10 rebounds for Harold Miner. I guess he could drive the bus, but that's about the only thing he's left off.
Well, now Miner just recently got his driver's license for the first time, so you're right, he could drive the bus. That's one of the more interesting Harold Miner stories. The young man is 21 years old, and he just very recently got his driver's license.
And Sanders comes off, gets a pep talk from the coach. That was Miner reaching in with another defensive gem. Glenn pulls up, gets it. They're just doing it all right. I think George willed that one in, didn't he?
Well, he sure did. There's some sort of a play. Harold Miner's going to get called for a foul. Miner's going to get called for a foul. The basket is good. Boyd gets the ball down court. And the jumper goes. I thought he called 23 on that one, Barry, but from our replay, it looked like Miner was out at half court.
I think the foul was away from the ball, but I'm not quite sure where. The reverse underneath by Tarver.
You know, it's almost impossible to hear the whistle, so I do not know where that foul was called. That time we could hear the whistle.
Let me give credit where it's due. That last basket was by Ed O'Bannon.
The last foul is against Derek Martin. You know, O'Bannon is a guy who I think could be a big key in this second half. O'Bannon is a guy who can play very tough down inside. He operates better inside than either Murray or McClain, and so he could be a very big factor.
Ed O'Bannon, of course, one of the most recruited athletes in America. I think everybody knows about his knee injury and operation. In fact, operations. Was off for almost a year and a half, just now getting into playing shape, still trying to find his shooting touch. Miner, the penetration and a reverse. This is a highlight film.
Now for Miner it is. Boy, McClain is really getting bounced around inside. Ankrum doing the honors this time.
Lob pass from O'Bannon, getting a hand on it was Glenn. I'll tell you, USC just flying to the ball defensively.
Harold Miner hasn't had too much opportunity to get to the basket. This time just beats Madkins on the baseline. Nobody really gets over to stop him. An acrobatic play by Harold Miner, but it's because they give up the baseline and he can get to the basket. I don't think you want that guy anywhere near the basket if you're UCLA. Chapman at 6'3", matched up against Murray at 6'8".
UCLA being a little bit more patient in this second half. McClain missed another one, and Miner gets another rebound. Did he go up and get that?
He's going to have like a quintuple double in this game.
Chapman missed everything. Miner gets it back. I checked that. It was Orr who got it back underneath.
Orr just has the same hairstyle or lack thereof as Miner. There's George Raveling with us, holding up his signs again. We can see that one. It says 38.
McClain has now missed 7 in a row.
USC doing a great job preventing McClain from getting a very good look at the basket.
Miner wants to shoot it. Does. Can't get it. And here's another offensive rebound. Credit Orr with keeping that alive for Boyd. And a foul.
Orr is a tremendous leaper, and he really got up over top of everybody that time. This shot by Miner, this fall-away, is a really tough shot that creates a long rebound. Orr maybe went over the back of McClain, but his great leaping ability gets him up there. Murray with the foul. Boyd scrapping after the basketball. That's 3 now on Murray. There you see the offensive rebounding story. USC just totally out-scrapping UCLA on the backboards at this point.
So Boyd at the line. Rolls it in.
Couldn't have got any more of the rim than he got. Somebody ought to tell him the idea is not to hit the rim, but to get it in the net. He did both.
Twice. So Boyd gets them both, and USC right now is flat beating UCLA. 14-point game, 15:08 left. We'll be back. USC 59, UCLA 45, and this right now is in the category of a whooping. 15:08 left. A reminder that later on tonight, women's basketball, USC and Washington. Washington still ranked 23, Pac-10 conference in women's basketball, pretty tough this year too. Both those teams incidentally looking up at Stanford and California.
There's Don McClain. You can see what a tough night he has had. He has not scored a point in the last 15 minutes, so he got all 7 of those in the first 5 minutes of the ball game.
And USC, after starting a little slowly, 49-26.
USC comes out with pressure. Once again, their quickness really having an effect, just totally disrupting UCLA's offense.
And the officials making the change. Charlie Range had a better angle on it than Bobby Sidoff. Sidoff yields to Range, and it is SC's ball. And I think that's right.
The quickness of USC coming out of that timeout with a half-court zone trap that they hadn't showed the entire game, and UCLA just not doing a very good job handling it.
This guy's really helped out a lot. Boy, a little move on McClain.
He walked.
Yes. A little too many moves on McClain.
Well, Boyd's got 8 points in the basketball game. Sanders has 7 points in the basketball game. Cooper's got 11. Chapman has 8. USC is getting a lot of contributions from an awful lot of different people. Harold Miner, of course, has had the big game, but everybody else is stepping up as well.
Yeah, Harold's getting a lot of help from his friends. Murray faces up, and he's got 23.
And for the first time tonight, the UCLA press, which served them very, very well in that first game.
Oh, they had that time Orr wide open under the basket. Could they back it out? Go into the half court a little bit. Trojans very comfortable in this. Chapman missed a 3. Second try again. Boyd, the leader, won't go. Third try, Orr won't go. And here come the Bruins. They got a 4-on-2 if they hurry here. Murray, the walk, travel. Tracy Murray with 49% of UCLA's points, and that's not going to get it done.
Orr is going to go out of the ball game. Sanders is going to come in. Orr tried to dunk that last ball in and fell hard on his shoulder. UCLA, of course, with the 2 great forwards, McClain and Murray. And when you're able to shut down one as completely as USC has shut down McLean, UCLA is going to have a tough time.
Bruins with a 3-on-2. Martin beat everybody down that time, drew the foul.
As active as this crowd has been, and with the great intensity that USC has played, you get the idea, Barry, that this game is well out of reach for UCLA, but it's not. It's a 12-point basketball game, and UCLA trailing by 12 in a game where McLean really hasn't gotten started yet. If he could get it going, UCLA could get right back in this game. Martin has a chance to cut it to 10.
McLean had a game very similar to this, actually, in UCLA's win over Stanford earlier this year in Palo Alto. He just, well, he was sick that day, but he just didn't make an appearance until about the last 5 minutes, and then he made all the clutch points down the stretch. He's that kind of player.
And most of those rebounds in the second half have been of the offensive variety for USC. But the Bruins only down 10.
Defensively by UCLA. They might have.
Well, if nothing else, that press has really slowed USC down. USC has beaten it, but they've settled down into a half-court basketball game after beating the press. Their transition game has been so good tonight that that's a good change of pace by Jim Harris.
Nice pick that time by Boyd, but it couldn't free Harold Miner. And again, Matkin's really doing a good job on Harold Miner. Despite, you look at Miner's line, he's got 17 points in the game. A lot of them are on second chances. And when Miner was playing him head up, he hasn't scored that much.
Martin's going to pick up that foul as Cooper takes it very aggressively to the basket.
Third foul on Martin.
The game is sort of slowed down a little bit, Barry, and I think that's to the advantage of UCLA. They are the bigger team and the slower team.
Miner won't go. Miner again. 8 offensive rebounds, 12 rebounds, and 19 points for Harold Miner.
Boyd has done a tremendous defensive job against McLean.
Murray missed the shot from about 4 feet. Here come the Trojans, 2-on-2. Glenn in the middle now, 3-on-2. Cooper on the wing to the basket, and I think we got a foul before the shot.
We've got a foul on Glenn, an offensive foul. And Martin on the floor really pays the price for it. But UCLA was reeling on that particular fast break that Martin made the only play he could make. O'Bannon just flat gets out hustled for the basketball here. Martin does a great job. Glenn's got to stop, and he didn't stop. So the big dunk by Cooper counts for nothing because Glenn just floated down through the lane. You got to stop once you pass that ball or else you're going to get the charge. That was the only play available to Martin. He made it very well.
Sean Tarver has come into the ballgame for UCLA. Now, incidentally, we should point out, Tarver rolled an ankle in practice yesterday. I don't even know if anybody really knows about that, and he has not been much of a factor in this game, and you can't help but wonder if maybe it is paining him a little bit.
Hasn't really played very many minutes.
McLean. And that breaks a long dry spell for Don McLean.
McLean really worked to get that basket. Very physical defense by Boyd. George Raveling saying that McLean pushed off. But he's been getting bounced pretty good. I think he's entitled to a couple of pushes.
Tarver now gets the defensive assignment against Miner. Blew right by him and drew the foul. Going to get O'Bannon for the foul, but Miner went right around Tarver.
Miner not only showed good quickness getting to that baseline, but once he got to the basket, McLean and O'Bannon were standing there waiting for him, but he took the ball up through the both of them. So Miner showing you not only quickness, leaping ability, but some tremendous strength. He hasn't been to the foul line tonight, interestingly enough.
Yeah, first free throw attempt.
And with as active as he has been, particularly on the inside, that's pretty surprising.
That's a routine that you'll see Harold Miner do every time he shoots a free throw.
A lot of coaches believe that you get to the free throw line and you're much better if you have a routine. You concentrate on your routine, and by concentrating on your routine, that makes you concentrate on the basket. So you go through a little routine, the same thing over and over again, and that gets the crowd and the situation and everything out of your mind. And Harold Miner's routine is a little bit different than any you've ever seen, but nonetheless, it serves its purpose.
Behind the back, between the legs, and then you wipe the ball off, and it works. I might try that. 11:41 remaining in this one. 63-51. USC continues in front. Week upcoming, beginning March 7th. 33 games, 24 conference finals. It all happens right here on ESPN. Offensive rebounds. Well, SC's been getting it done. Check that. Harold Miner has been getting it done.
Goal press by USC, drops back. Boy, Boyd is doing a tremendous job staying in front of McClain.
And Matkins sticks a 3. And that gets him down to 9. It's 63-54, so don't turn the lights out yet. Here's Miner. Miner got ahead of everybody. Matkins reached in. That's a pretty good foul, actually.
He was not in the act of shooting. That's team foul number 7, though, against UCLA, so Miner's going to get to go to the free throw line. It's 4 fouls now against Matkins. Matkins has had one of those games. He has played extremely hard defensively. He's done everything to Harold Miner you can do, except he hasn't really blocked him out.
And Matkins not at all pleased about coming out of the game, if in fact he is. He's not. McClain is going to sit. Matkins wants to stay out there, and you can just see him mouth the words, "Oh, coach, no." And then Jimmy Herrick agreed with him.
Of course, Matkins has not had the assignment on Miner by himself. When Miner cuts through the lanes, UCLA has been switching, and maybe that's been one of the problems for the Bruins. With so much switching, nobody's really got the assignment.
Another second chance. Sanders can't get it to go, and a foul over the top.
And Jim Herrick has been asking for that particular play all night. Miner doesn't miss very many free throws. Almost 82% misses that one, but there's Sanders with good position, has the size advantage over Butler, then does not make a very good shot. Boyd going over the back of Butler.
Miner will sit. He sat 17 seconds the first time.
And UCLA has an opportunity to cut the lead to 7 or 6 with a 3-pointer, so this game far, far from over.
Tarver for 2, won't go. Nice rebound underneath that time by Matkins, and a follow is up and good by Murray.
UCLA doing some offensive board work on that particular series.
Oh, they're going to get Matkins?
No, they're going to get Tarver. Cooper has done an excellent job against this press, Barry. It seems in breaking the press that the key to the USC attack has been Cooper. He's been handling the ball, not really giving it up against Jim Herrick's team in the press. Harold Miner, a very, very short rest.
Yes, he's back.
Now he's back.
See the team fouls. UCLA already with 18 fouls. Still 10.5 minutes to go in the game. Remember, once we get to 10, it's all 2 shots.
But this is, I think, a pretty key stretch for USC. They took control of the basketball game with about 5 minutes left in the first half, and with some great intensity, they have maintained control of the game. But UCLA, sort of almost in a sneaky fashion, you haven't realized it, but they've crawled back into this game. You saw Cooper, not a particularly good free throw shooter, but I really think that was a significant basket.
We are at the sports arena, and it is a sold-out sports arena. That in itself, a first in the last 12 years. I'm Barry Tompkins with Dan Bonner. We're watching the number 4 ranked UCLA Bruins against the number 13 ranked USC Trojans. Trojans lead it right now by 9, and Cooper at the line to try to make it 10. And Butler rebounds. Well, Martin had a chance, decided to take it in instead, and threw up a tough shot. That's going to be off of USC. It'll be the Bruins' ball.
Barry, that was an excellent point. Martin has the wide-open jumper and elects to take it to the basket and shoot it. All he does is draw the defense. That's a pretty good play by Chapman. Jim Herrick asking for a foul, but I don't think there was one. However, UCLA controls the offensive rebound, and they have an opportunity to cut it to 6.
Tarver gets into the lane and puts one up, I believe. that Minor got a hand on it, but Tarver with the second chance.
And it's a 6-point basketball game, Barry.
Minor, nice look underneath to Orr with a reverse in and out. Butler the rebound. Here come the Bruins. That time Martin tried to go low to Murray. Could do it. Martin gets in front of it and steals the ball.
Chapman lost control, and Martin, staying after him, was able to knock it away and recover it.
5 turnovers already in the second half for USC. They only had 5 in the first half total. Matt gets kick out for Murray. Foul going to be called underneath and a push off against the Bruins. 3 seconds is the call. 3 seconds.
Jim Herrick very upset with that call. You know, I read in the newspaper today, Eddie Fogler from Vanderbilt said there was no more 3 seconds. He must be wrong.
You don't see it very much, I'll tell you.
Oh, this is a great play to get through the defense. Very nearly threw it away, but Cooper slicing right through.
Critical sequence here for USC. Minor, what control.
What kind of a play is that? Changes his shot, just hangs up in the air to do it. With that tongue out, who does he remind you of?
Yeah, they call him Little Jordan here, and he likes it. It's a tough comparison for a lot of players, but not for him.
We're going to get a foul on Orr. Harold Minor has certainly lived up to all the billing that he received coming in this game. Watch him as he takes it, and look at Murray come. Forces Minor to change the shot, but it makes no difference. And as that replay ends, there's 3 yellow jerseys right around the board. So even if that shot had not gone in, USC in great rebounding position.
And Georgia Tech bouncing Wake Forest after Wake's big win over Duke.
It's hard to maintain your emotional intensity. Wake Forest paying the price. There's a 3-pointer.
Atkins with a good look that time, and once again, UCLA just will not go quietly. It's a 5-point game. That's as close as the Bruins have been in a long, long time, and McClain is back for UCLA.
And USC just not getting the same kind of transition opportunities in this half as they did in the first half. UCLA has managed to create a slower game.
Cooper behind a board screen. McClain cuts him off. Cooper for 3. Too hard. The long rebound run down by Chapman.
The long rebound has really been a factor in this ball game, but USC with their great quickness has just about gotten to every one of them.
3-point shooting, of course, creates that. Change direction by Matkins to the basket. Minor, what a play. What a crossover dribble by Minor. McClain on the offensive end is fouled.
Boyd has managed to play him pretty tough without fouling. Gets the foul that time. Matkins trying as hard as he can to stay with him, but that between-the-legs dribble, and then nobody comes to help. Butler, I guess, tries, but much too little too late. Minor just pushed the elevator button for a couple of floors higher than Butler could manage.
McClain will go to the free throw line for UCLA. Still a 7-point game.
You're right, Barry. McClain, if he scores 2 and he's got 1, the 2 points won't be as spectacular as the 2 that Minor just scored, but it will draw UCLA back to 5 points.
Gets them both. Great free throw shooter. Only 4 of 14 from the field tonight. 7:21 left. 5-point game. SC 68, UCLA 63, and we'll be back.
To the hole against Jim Jackson and Ohio State. Then it's LSU's Shaq against Arkansas's Mayday attack. As big as it gets. Big Tuesday. Live on ESPN.
A shootout in the Florida Panhandle on SportsCenter after the game. College hoops galore featuring the Heels and Seminoles. Golden State looks to start another winning streak in Texas. And ho-hum, it's Holyfield Holmes. Ready or not, SportsCenter's ready after the game.
USC leads UCLA by 5. 7:21 remaining in this ball game. Dan, the storyline in this one is told, I think, on the bottom of your screen.
Well, absolutely. Harold Miner just having a tremendous game. Tracy Murray with 25 points, only 6 of those in the second half. And the USC quickness has really created some problems for the Bruins, both in the turnover category and in the offensive rebounds, because a lot of those offensive rebounds have been the kind of long rebounds that the Trojan guards have run down. Of course, Harold Miner with 8 offensive rebounds has run them down on the inside and has converted most of them.
And with it all, it is a 5-point game. There's Miner posting up this time on Matkins. He's got a step, got a block foul on Matkins. And that'll be it for Gerald Matkins.
Matkins races over to the bench and sits down. He is not happy with the call. Obviously, this is the time of the game where you want to get the ball to Harold Miner. Matkins is bumping him the whole time. And there he gets that leg out, sticks that leg out. That is almost an automatic call. The officials have to look for certain things, and that is nearly an automatic call. As Miner goes by, Matkins sticks the leg out. That's a foul.
And that's exactly what Bob Garibaldi is explaining to Gerald Matkins. Matkins is not a guy to fly off the handle. He is very calm, very polite, one of the true good guys in the Pac-10 conference, pleading his case with one of the really good officials, not only in the Pac-10 but in the country.
Obviously, it's a very emotional game for both of these teams. It's a big rivalry. Matkins has played his heart out tonight.
I think he probably felt that Miner hooked him, and maybe he did, but I think that the foul was made before Miner hooked him.
When you're looking at post defense, the officials focus in on a couple of things, and one is sticking that leg out. The offensive guy swinging that arm is what they look at. The hook with the arm, and Miner didn't do that.
Miner rolls it in.
Now, the last time these two teams played, George Raveling's ball club made 17 of 20 free throws down the stretch to seal the win, and I think they're going to get some opportunities from the free throw line in this ball game.
Georgia's team this year has won the close games, and that has not been a character of his USC teams in the past. Coming into this season, they have been in 32 games that were won or lost by 6 or less points. They lost 32 games that were decided by 6 or less points in George Raveling's career prior to the season here at USC. I'll send you a note if you didn't quite understand that.
We put that up on the screen, but it'll take 4 pages, Greg. The difference this year is that they're 7-0 in games decided by 5 points or less.
That's what I was trying to say.
There you go. We got it.
Stepping in front of Sanders, race to the basket, forget it. Big sequence right there. Murray cranks it up from 3 and sticks it.
That was from NBA three-point range. Got to be careful. You can't be doing too much celebrating when you're playing against the UCLA Bruins with the kind of shooters that they have.
And down on the floor, away from the ball, is Cooper. Cooper writhing in pain on the floor, and we're going to get a timeout here.
That's actually a break for USC. Lots of times, if USC has the basketball, and if one team has the basketball, in this case USC, and one of their players is hurt, the officials sometimes stop the game right away. But Harold Miner squeezed the trigger on a shot before the referees could blow the whistle, and then another offensive rebound, this time by Sanders, who scored the last 2 baskets. Cooper's going to get hit in the face right there. Sort of gets raked across the eyes like a wrestling move. You rake him right across the eyes. Tarver hit him, but USC moved the ball too quickly for the officials to stop play.
20 offensive rebounds for the Trojans. Murray again for 3 is a little short. 2 Trojans there for the rebound. Sanders gets it.
Last couple of possessions, it's been Yeaman Sanders. 2 baskets, now a rebound.
Yeaman has made a career out of playing against UCLA.
Now the problem for UCLA is they got to deal with this guy.
We got a foul
on Sanders.
On Sanders, right, away from the ball.
He bounced McClain.
That's his 4th. Gets a hug from George Raftery says, you're doing a great job, but don't do it quite so aggressively.
I don't know that a hug is the proper word for that. I think George, if he could get his hands up a little higher, might have squeezed harder.
George is the whole package, though. He's a little bit coach, a little bit father confessor, a little bit friend, a little bit disciplinarian. Doing a great job this year here. And he can work a room.
He's working a pretty big room tonight and doing a good job. Now, we've got 5 minutes and 18 seconds left in the basketball game, and if he makes 2 free throws, the lead is back to 6. And you said it a couple of minutes ago, Barry, UCLA just refuses to go quietly. USC continues to make some big plays, but UCLA continues to hang around.
91% free throw shooter gets them both. Now McClain quietly again with 13 points in the game. They get the trap, but Cooper gets it across the timeline to Minor.
Boy, that's quite a catch by Minor.
Tyus Edney in the ball game. That does give UCLA a little quickness, but it gives up a little bit of size.
And Orr dropped it out of bounds.
Here come the Bruins.
Cut it to 4 or 3 with a three-pointer.
Tarver behind the McClain screen all the way to the basket. And it is a 4-point game. And there is a world of time left. Minor asking for the ball over on this side of the court.
Well, I think if Harold Minor wants the ball, Cooper should bring it over here and give it to him.
I'll tell you, Butler is right in Minor's pocket.
That's a double dribble.
All of a sudden, SC's composure getting a little bit shaky.
I think you have to give credit on that particular play to Butler, who did a great job denying Harold Minor the basketball. Cooper had one place to go, and he couldn't get it there. Boy, McClain wants it inside. McClain really battling Butler for the basketball.
And Murray tried to force the ball to McClain and couldn't do it.
And McClain better be careful that he doesn't get a technical foul. That's the last thing that UCLA needs. In the first half, we talked about what a nice job USC was doing, getting it inside to the big guys when they were open and available. That one's out of bounds, but I think Butler actually hit it. It'll be USC's ball.
Yep, I think that's the right call. 3:57 remaining, 74-70. USC will be back. Next Thursday night, another triple header here on ESPN. We get underway in the Big Ten. Michigan State, number 12 in the country, against Northwestern at 7:30. Dan, you'll be in Houston for Texas and Rice. Tommy Pender's team playing pretty well right now. I get to go to Pullman, Washington. Up on the Palouse, it'll be UCLA we're watching tonight against Washington State. Kelvin Sampson's team still with a chance to go to the NCAA tournament.
You really have to admire the way that UCLA has stuck around in this basketball game. They had every reason to fold. This crowd really against them. USC playing tremendously, but they have refused to quit in the basketball game, and they're only down 4.
Time remaining, 3 minutes, 40 seconds.
Minor may have gotten away with a walk right there. Butler doing a great job forcing him to give up the basketball. 15 seconds left on the shot clock.
UCLA has really stepped it up a notch defensively.
Now I think we're going to get a foul on Butler running through the screen.
And I mean, he ran through the screen.
He really did deck Chapman. Now, I don't really think that that's a bad play. You know, if you're Chapman and somebody knocks you over like that, how serious are you going to be about setting that screen the next time?
And I think that's absolutely right. He's just trying to, Butler just trying to shadow Harold Minor and just deny him the ball.
Well, the last thing you want is Harold Minor with the basketball. So you stick Chapman on the line. He's only a 64% free throw shooter.
Got that one.
the same. That was a big sequence for USC. Now for UCLA, they've got to get a score this time.
They had McClain over.
McClain's all alone. They're not.
Yeah, twice. They're just not getting the ball to Don McClain. Now they reverse it again. Edney to the baseline. Now he tried to force it to McClain.
And that's very frustrating for a big guy inside. McClain has really worked hard in this basketball game to get open inside. But with the quickness that USC possesses on the perimeter guys for UCLA cannot find McClain when he's open.
Now he's open out front. And it's in and out. Second try, though, McClain with the easy follow.
Nobody blocked him out. McClain was the beneficiary of some good hustle. He went to the board and picked up the loose ball.
And Murray saw him nicely. So again, a 4-point game, 2:45 remaining.
You know, McClain has really struggled, but he has not stopped working in this basketball game.
Minor from the corner. And two Trojans there again for the offensive rebound. Difference in the game.
McClain was there, but he was only one, and the Trojans had two. You know, the big guys for USC really have not been handling that pass from the guards. The guards are penetrating around, and unless it's Harold Minor, the other big fellas inside are really not handling the ball well. Boy, Tarver all over Cooper.
Cooper with the penetration. Blocked by Murray, but he got him with the body. And if that is against Murray, which it is, that'll be his fourth.
Cooper using his quickness. There's a screen by Boyd. Gets around. Edney steps in to try to draw the charge, but gets out of the way, and Murray picks up the foul. Credit Boyd with a very, very good screen, and Tracy Murray did not react very well to the screen.
Very close to all ball, though, for Murray, but he did get him with the body.
Got him with the body, but on that particular play, you've got to jump up and prevent Cooper from even getting into the lane, and Murray didn't do it.
Crowd here, incidentally, 15,517, and that is a new USC home record.
The free throw missed. Well, certainly they've set some sort of a decibel record tonight.
Yeah, it really is like a big-time college basketball atmosphere here.
Going to look at the UCLA bench.
Joy is not the way I would describe that at the moment. 1 out of 2 for Cooper. Murray turned an ankle, and he is limping badly. And boy, is that bad news for UCLA. McClain pulls up and sticks a three, and they're going to have to get Murray out of the game. But so far, nobody is. Murray is still limping badly. And they should try to get it down low here because Boyd has got a real mismatch with Murray on one leg, and he's calling for the ball, but Cooper won't get it to him.
Well, I think Harold Minor against a good defensive player is still your better option.
And Minor with the penetration. Nice job by Butler. And Minor with the second try is up and good yet another time. And it was Boyd who made the basket. And here's Murray on the bad wheel. Pulls up for three. Won't go. Butler gets the offensive rebound. Tyus Edney in traffic.
That was a tough shot. I think Edney was looking for somebody to pass it to, and nobody came open.
Boy, Murray is still hurting. Not limping as badly, but clearly hurting. And Minor wants a timeout. With 58 seconds left and a 4-point lead, USC with the ball. Timeout, UCLA, and we'll be back. But USC is winning the close games this year. That really has been the difference in their season. All season long, they have won, and they have won games that it was very improbable for them to win. Minor made the floater at the buzzer to beat Ohio State by 2. Against Cal, they were down 7. With less than a minute to play, they came back and won.
Against Cal, they were down 5 with 27 seconds left in the game.
Washington, they made a comeback to win it at the buzzer. Against Stanford, that's a game last week they never should have won.
They were down 8 with 1:30 to go. They only shot 37% from the field. They got out-rebounded by 20, and they still won the game. They have 23 offensive rebounds this evening. That's it. That is USC. It's awfully hard for a team to win a ball game when the opponent has 23 offensive rebounds. It is a miracle that UCLA is still in this game, but they still have a chance to win.
They have a very real chance. 58 seconds left.
There's 34 seconds left on the shot clock.
4-point game. And they finally get it in.
And that's okay. That's all right. That's not over and back. The new rule this year, you're allowed to do exactly what Miner just did. Jim Herrick calling for the over and back, but he's wrong. And the way Harold Miner reacted, you'd think that he felt that that was going to be an over and back. Glenn gets the foul, gets fouled.
So UCLA taking a quick foul.
And Glenn is an 81% free throw shooter. He and Miner are the two best on the team.
Yeah, that's the guy you don't want to put on the line.
George Raveling sent Yeaman Sanders in the ball game and then changed his mind. But Sanders, you know, we said this was the kind of a game you want to be in. Sanders ran up and reported too quick for George to pull him back. Chapman is out of the game. Sanders in there for rebounding and for defense on the other end.
And the 80% free throw shooter, this is the first one.
Well, if he had made both of those, you still got a two-possession game. So right now, if he makes this,
and he's short. Butler with a rebound, and now UCLA with a real opportunity. And clock not yet a factor. 40 seconds left.
But what a play by Glenn!
Great play, poked out of Murray's hands.
Now he's stuck. You ought to call a timeout.
Got a jump ball call. The possession arrow is USC's, though. And USC wants a timeout.
Well, I don't know that they really want the timeout. He was trying to call the timeout, but got himself tied up.
30 seconds left, 4-point game. SC will have the ball when we come back.
Important game for Washington State as they try to go to 7-7 in the conference and 19-8 overall. Stanford leading by 10. We're back now to the final seconds.
79-75. Tie-up was the call. The possession arrow points to USC. Timeout was called. 30 seconds left. Trojans will have the ball and a 4-point lead.
And USC has one timeout remaining. What actually happened, Glenn was down in the corner and he was trying to call timeout, but he was trying to do it with the signal, and he got the ball next to his body trying to make the timeout signal, and that's where UCLA tied him up. They ruled the tie-up before they got the timeout. There you can get UCLA with 3 timeouts, USC with 1, and the possession arrow now in favor of USC.
No, actually, we'll make it official here, as Dennis Mnuchin, our ace statistician, has gotten the direct line here. What happened is USC retained the ball because they called the timeout, not UCLA. UCLA actually had the possession arrow. So the possession arrow remains UCLA's. And a quick foul will put Harold Miner at the line.
It's 5 fouls against Murray. You know, if you're Jim Herrick, you really don't want your best three-point shooter committing that foul, but you don't have enough time left in the game where you can be particularly concerned about who's going to foul or whom you foul.
So it'll be Miner who steps to the line now.
I was not sure that he made the play, but that's a big play by Glenn to knock the ball away from Murray and then being trapped in the corner to call the timeout. I thought the signal was the jump ball, but it was ruled that the timeout was called first. That's the kind of a play he wanted to make, and that was a big-time play.
So Harold Miner at the line. Still a 2-possession game, but now the clock clearly the ally of the Trojans.
Boy, and that's 3 in a row down the stretch here. Well, you know UCLA is going to run down the court and try to get the 3. This is the guy that George Raveling wants at the free throw line.
Now UCLA, they picked the dribble up, and that surprised me. Now Tyasone will get it across the timeline. Gets to Mitchell Butler. They'll let him take that. And he hits it off the front rim. Edney gets it back into the lane and has 2. 14 seconds left. And it's a 3-point game, 80-77. Right now, we're going to take you back to the studio. We've got a 3-point game here with 14 seconds left, but let's jump off the track for a minute, get you back to the studio and Chris Fowler.
All right, Barry, we'll come right back to you. But I want to say about a 1-point win for UTEP. The Bear, Don Haskins, picked up his 600th career win tonight in Wyoming. Also in the WAC, an important game for New Mexico's slim NCAA tournament hopes. They go into Fort Collins to beat the Rams 60-56. Tom Mees and Chris Myers right up to the ball game with all the scores and highlights on SportsCenter. Back to Barry.
All right, thank you, Chris. 3-point game, 14 seconds left. Still a long shot, though. 10 fouls now, so every free throw shooting opportunity for USC will be 2 shots. They certainly will try to take a quick foul here.
And at this point of the basketball game, you've got to get the quick foul. But for USC, they've got the 3-point lead, so when they get those two free throws, they've got to make at least one to try to create the 2-possession game once again. For UCLA, you try to deny the inbounds pass. You certainly try to keep it out of the hands of Minor if you can do that at all. They certainly haven't been able to do that so far tonight. But if you're UCLA, if you don't get the steal on the inbounds pass, then you have to foul right away.
And a reminder that as soon as we get out of Dodge, on SportsCenter, Chris Myers and Tom Mees will have the story of the Tar Heels and the Seminoles, that game that preceded us, an update on the condition of Wilt Chamberlain, and the Warriors versus Mr. Robinson. Warriors swept their first meeting down in Texas, lost last night, however, to Houston. And they just get it in. And no foul yet. Finally a foul called on Tyus Edney with 10 seconds left. It will put Chapman at the free throw line.
And Chapman is not one of the better free throw shooters. He's only 64%, so they got one of the guys they wanted to get. Did a tremendous job keeping the ball away from Harold Miner. There you see Dwayne Cooper at 60, Mark Boyd, who is in the ball game, at 61, Rodney Chapman at 64, and Chapman is the guy who's going to go to the line. With 10.8 seconds left in the ball game, Chapman looking to make at least one of these two to make it a 4-point game. Derek Martin, one of the 3-point threats in the ball game for UCLA.
It's interesting for UCLA now. And now they bring O'Bannon on, who is a little bit more of a rebounder and a 3-point shooter, perhaps. But with Murray on the bench, they really lose a big gun.
Of course, Murray's the guy you want in the basketball game at this point.
The first one is good. And that is the big one. And now George Raveling says, get off the line, just get back.
UCLA still has 2 timeouts left. So if they're able to score, they can still stop the clock. So this game is not over yet.
And Chapman gets them both. It's not over, but it's a long, long, long shot right now. Mitchell Butler to Tarver for the 3.
That's only a 2.
Edney underneath gets one of them. 2 seconds. They get a timeout. So with just under 2 seconds left.
Well, now if USC can simply get the ball inbounds, they win the basketball game because there's not enough time for UCLA. UCLA's got to make the immediate steal and hit the 3-point shot. We're in the parameters of the miraculous right now.
Gerald Matkins, who fouled out a little bit earlier, joins his team's huddle. This crowd is poised to come onto this court. A lot of security around here.
They're poised to come onto the court, but there's a lot of security guys with a rope, and I think they're going to have a tough time getting on the court.
That's true. George Raveling has been lobbying.
The clock will not start until it touches someone inbounds.
And Tarver knocks it out of bounds. 0.4 of a second ticked off the clock.
Tarver with the foul against Harold Miner. Miner going to come down, get 2 free throws, and one of these obviously seals the game. Boy, what a job by this man's team tonight. What a job he did preparing them. You know, the USC season has been sort of funny. The Pac-10 plays Thursday and Saturday, and USC has played their strongest games on Thursday when they've had some time to prepare, and George Raveling had 3 days to prepare these guys, and they look like they were prepared to go in this ballgame.
Absolutely. And that will be that. 29 points for Harold Miner to go with 13 rebounds. That's a terrific win for the USC Trojans to beat UCLA twice in the same year.
The second time in 50 years that they've done it.
SC wins it, 83-79, and they did it in most impressive fashion. Nothing fluke about it. The big player played the big game, and that man deserves the plaudits he will surely get. For Dan Bonner, I'm Barry Tompkins. Sports Center is next.
ESPN's NCAA basketball is brought to you by Subaru. It's what to drive. By Fujitsu, the global computer and communications company. Call 1-800-243-7046. By Midas, for mufflers, brakes, and shocks. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And by Nintendo. Get your daily dose of fun with Game Boy. Have you had your fun today?
You saw it on ESPN. We'll start in the ACC.
That's right. We saw the wild ending in the West Coast. Let's go back now to the East Coast. Way back in December, Chris, the Florida